Good morning everyone, and welcome to round number 11 of the Nemesis Online Racing League Championship here on Project Cars 2 in these lovely Formula C cars. And today is quite an important race. Nemesis Racing can clinch the championship here at Sugo Sports World, or at Sportsland Sugo, my apologies, here in Japan, if he finishes at least P5 in one of the races. So that is his objective for today. But we've already gone through the first number of laps, and we have Mark currently on provisional pole with a 1:22.5, Chazza in third, 1.3 seconds drift of Mark, Galactic Skull in third, 1.6 seconds off pole, Murcielago, JFD, and then Nemesis's lap has been invalidated, so he's not making it quite so easy for himself as at the moment, as we only have under a minute left in the session. Sorry, I just had to make sure that my microphone was actually working properly there. But now, the qualifying session, there's no more time left. Galactic Skull certainly won't be improving on his time, but let's see if Mark can. I don't actually know where the start-finish line is, because I am not familiar with this track whatsoever. But here we go, Mark is coming up towards the finish line. Can Mark improve on his already very quick lap time? Yes, he does. Mark sets a 1:21.8 and now puts himself on pole position by 2 seconds. But we're going to be watching the championship leader and the man that only needs to finish 5th place today in one of the races to secure the championship, and he is coming through the last corner now. Will he first be able to set a time? And what time will he be able to set? As he now comes towards the start-finish line. And we don't see where he finishes. But he finishes in 2nd position. 6/10 adrift of Mark in P1, who has taken pole position in this race. And also a good lap at the death there by Chazza, who's now only about a second off Mark, so a good lap there. But for the start of the first race, the grid will be Mark, Nemesis Racing, Chazza, Galactic Skull, JFD, and Murcielago. Let's get that map up, because I don't know where half of these guys are going half the time, so need to find out that. Oh, this is very good. I've just seen that Australia have won by 80 runs in the cricket. This is good. Right. But now, we're waiting for the final lights to go out, and lights out, and away we go. It looks like it has been a very solid start for Mark, but Chazza is now trying to go around his outside, and Nemesis is starting the large loom behind. A brilliant start there by Chazza, and is putting Mark under pressure already, but never mind. He's now under pressure from Nemesis Racing, and Nemesis has just gone clean around the outside of him. But Chazza will certainly be trying to look to get that position back from Nemesis, who had quite a poor start. Chazza had a monstrous start, as there's a little bit of contact at the back there between Galactic Skull and Murcielago. But Mark, with a very good start there, But the action is all behind us between JFD, Murcielago and Galactic Skull. So that's what we'll keep our eye on as Murcielago pulls to the inside, I believe, of JFD. But JFD, I think there's a little bit of contact there, and he's forced Murcielago off the track. I believe that's what happened. It was a bit hard to see exactly what happened there, but he has moved himself, well, cemented 4th place in front of Galactic Skull and Murcielago. But after the first lap, Mark is in 1st place and Nemesis is in 2nd in championship winning position. There's certainly under pressure from Chazza. But we have JFD now under all sorts of pressure from Galactic Skull. Surely it's a matter of time. Oh, well, he's certainly been hit up the bum there, has JFD. And now Galactic Skull should have the inside line for that corner. Oh no, JFD! It was time to give up the position there, mate. And he's caused an incident there between himself and Galactic Skull. And now Murcielago is up into 4th place. Terrific camera angle there where you can't even see the drivers that you're trying to see, but gee whiz. JFD put up a great fight there, but is now back into P6 after there's been some contact. But Chazza certainly isn't leaving Nemesis alone here. He's putting you under some good amount of pressure. As we're now about to end the 2nd lap of this race and move on to lap 3. As Mark at the front extends his lead and Chazza weaving all behind Nemesis as he just can't be just can't get quite close enough to get the move done. Looks like we are going to have some battling behind between Murcielago and Galactic Skull. Galactic Skull looking to be a bit more pacey than he has in previous races as Murcielago runs wide there, and that is absolutely gifted Galactic Skull that position there ahead of Murcielago. He'll be saying thank you very much. Murcielago running a bit deep into that corner as well. He needs to remember that he has some brakes. But Mark now has a 2-second margin up the front as we're about to begin lap 4. And Nemesis still being put under quite a lot of pressure from Chazza. Just a little bit further behind than what he was this time last lap. Must say this circuit looks to be quite hard to overtake. There aren't many stop-start corners at the end of the big long straight, so well, it's quite hard to overtake on this game in general anyway, so if the track isn't exactly catered for overtaking, then it's going to be quite hard to get the move done. But for the first time, I will go to the chat. As first of all, I see SGT Strike saying hello, and hello to you indeed as well, mate. Good to see you in the chat, and also good to see Danny Ibn Lahir in the chat. Galactic Skull saying, I'm sorry, I do have to keep my eye on the track as well. Galactic Skull saying, God damn it, was 2 seconds up and went off on the last corner, invalidated my lap and next lap. Well, that is very frustrating and quite unfortunate for you there, mate. Danny Ibn Lahar asks, can you say that's a knife for me? For Christ's sake, I'm not Crocodile Dundee, alright? and I don't have exactly the greatest. I don't have that sort of Aussie accent. I don't think I even barely have an Aussie accent anyway. I sound more British than I do Aussie, which is odd, but that's because I spend a lot of time with British people. But Chazza here's got a good run on Nemesis, but not quite able to make it work. Is that corner not quite close enough? But if you really want me to say that's a knife, ask again, and I bloody will, alright? Oh, and I haven't even noticed. Nemesis is now behind Chazza. How on earth has that happened? I need to go back and watch. On my iPad, oh, Nemesis went wide at one of the corners whilst I was reading the chat. And Chazza has gotten past Nemesis. After Nemesis has run wide at one of the corners. Oh, and Nemesis nearly going off the last corner there. Deary, deary me, mate. Do you want to bottle the championship or what? Keep it on the track, son. He's currently in championship winning position. All he has to do is finish in P5 in one of these races, and he is the world champion. And I'm sure that he will be looking to get ahead of Chazza after that mistake on the previous lap, which gifted Chazza second place. And of course, with Blizzard here tonight, with no Blizzard here tonight, I should be saying, there's not going to be really enough cars, I think, to be put in front of Nemesis. But it's good to see Galactic Skull there on pace. Oh, and Nemesis has gone wide into a corner again. Not the same corner that he made the mistake on last lap, but he's going wide, and he's off the track there. Oh dear, Nemesis, you're putting my heart in my mouth, and I can only imagine where his heart is at the moment. But Galactic Skull 2 right on pace here with these guys in front, so it's good to see his pace. By the way, Danny's saying you've got a decent Italian accent, by the way. I do not have a great Italian accent in the slightest, but sure. I mean, if you give me some phrase to say in an Italian accent, then go ahead. But Nemesis really struggling. He's running too deep and wide in a lot of corners. I'm not sure if that is tyre wear coming into play here. But he is really struggling out on track here. And Chazza is starting to pull away a little bit now from the championship leader. But it is Mark. Very, very comfortable in the lead of this race. Nearly 4 seconds now to Chazza in P2. There you go, on the previous lap, Chazza did close the gap by quite a good margin, 0.6 of a second. But I'll take a Herculean effort to get past here today. I mean, Danny, there's one Italian, oh, that's right, that's just because I say arrivederci. Right, let me read out that phrase at the end of this race, because I don't want to, I'll need to focus for that, because I did a little bit of Italian in primary school, but, haven't sharpened up on it in quite some time. And of course it's only the basic stuff in primary school, so Nemesis just clipping the grass there onto the entry to that corner. He runs a tad wide. As you can see on that previous lap where he made a couple of mistakes, he did a 127.6 and was the slowest car on circuit. I don't think we can say that too many times for Nemesis so far this season. But on this lap, I don't think he has been. Starting to close in ever so slightly to Chazza. Gap's now 0.8 of a second. Ah, screw it. I'll try and say it now. Questo Ian Coletto. Arrivederci. The hell is that? I've just made another fool of myself and read out a phrase which I have absolutely no idea what that means. So well done me. Probably should be a bit more careful in future. Well, thanks for that, Danny, but did you know that that's a knife? That's it, I can't do it. I'm no good at doing a Crocodile Dundee impersonation. It's been quite some time since I watched Crocodile Dundee, but now Nemesis, after Crocodile Dundee talk, is closing in here to Chazza. Just about half a second. Nearly half a second, I should say. And it will be through the final corner. But, ooh, Nemesis being very aggressive over the curbs. As now he's right up the behind of Chazza. Just putting him under pressure. He has the inside line for that corner, but that is a very risky corner to go up the inside of. And Nemesis having back out the move has compromised his run through the next couple of corners. Although saying that, it does really look like Chazza is struggling with tyre wear here, just not able to take the speed that he was through the corners. And there you go, he's 1 second off his best lap delta. And is now being put under a supreme amount of pressure, literally, by Nemesis as he hits him up the rear end. Oh, and he goes for the dive there. Does Nemesis, nearly absolute disaster there for the two. Chazza dips a tyre in the gravel, but gets away with it somehow. But all the while, Mark is just coming up to start the final lap of the Grand Prix. As Nemesis in the slipstream, Chazza is gaining and gaining. You can see he's really struggling out the exit of turn one. And once again, Nemesis is ever closer to him. I don't know what the timing was saying that Nemesis was ahead of Chazza there, because he never was. But Nemesis went for the dive up the inside there, and there's been some contact between the two. He's forced Chazza off the track. And I assume that Nemesis, in his very sporting way, will get the position back. And indeed he does. He gives Nemesis the... So he gives Chazza the position back there, does he? And as you can see there, Galactic Skull, the fastest car on circuit at the moment. He is having a superb race pace-wise. Just messed up his qualifying lap, and has just compromised his race after being in that battle with Murcielago and JFD, who he is streaked away from. But now Nemesis putting Chazza under a load of pressure here. There's only the final corner to go. Can he overtake him? Down towards the start-finish line as Mark wins the race in dominant fashion by 8 seconds. But can Nemesis quite get past Chazza for P2? No, he can't, but it doesn't matter. He is the Nemesis Online Racing League Project Cars 2 Formula C World Champion. And what a tremendous result there from Nemesis. He has been the most consistent driver all season, and certainly one of the quickest. and he thoroughly deserves to win this championship. A great display of racing throughout this season by the Italian, and he becomes the only driver to win 5 Nemesis Online Racing League championships, and the first time he has won back-to-back championships since F1 2010 and F1 2011, and a huge congratulations to him. He's been the best driver all season long, and congratulations, Nemesis. And now in the second race, he can drive with a little bit more. He can drive a little bit more aggressively in the second race. But Mark takes the win from Chazza, 9 seconds ahead. Nemesis had a 2-second time penalty in the end and finished in P3. Galactic Skull, who was very quick all race long, in 4th, so watch out for him in the second race. Murcielago in 5th, and JFD in 6th. Okay, I just said that's a knife in Italian. Rightio. Okay. Good to see that there wasn't anything bad. And indeed, congratulations to Val on winning the championship there in that race. And indeed, Galactic Skull, as he says in the chat, could have had a chance for a podium, but got a bad start. Yeah, that did compromise you, and you could have put in a better time. As Chazza does confirm what I believed had happened, he had bad tyre wear front and rear. We could see that out the exit of turn 1 into 2, that you just had no grip anywhere. But now we are just waiting for Nemesis to change the weather to random for both qualifying and the race. As you can see there, the tyre wear is unaccelerated in this 15 lap race, so that definitely won't be helping the tyre wear that anyone would have normally in practice. Yes indeed, Val is away celebrating, but he has just changed it now, so we should be getting underway for our second qualifying session in the random weather any second. And literally this second, as we are now loading in to the session here at Sportsland Sugo. I must say, very nice track. Never raced on it before, but it does look like a very nice free-flowing track. But let's see what weather conditions we have here for qualifying 2. And of course, we'll see what we have in the race when the race begins. But we just have, I don't think that's heavy rain, I just think that's, okay, no, that is heavy rain. We have some heavy rain conditions here at Sportsland Sugo for qualifying 2. And we're just going to watch Mark. I'm sorry, I just had to yawn massively. Did wake up only 10 minutes before the race started, or before the session started, before the stream started in fact, so I am relatively tired at this moment. But I am a committed commentator, and I do my job. But we have Mark and Nemesis weaving on each other in a straight line. But nothing much to commentate on at the moment, as the drivers are now only starting their hot laps, and we will watch the championship winner, Nemesis Racing. Look at this beautiful cockpit view as he runs wide already through that corner. And he's running wide everywhere, is Nemesis. He can't keep it on the track. And this is certainly not going to mean for a quick lap time. Those curbs look very deadly in the wet. But I don't think we have too much standing water at the moment. That only occurs during a race. Becomes quite devilish. Once again, Nemesis going wide through a corner, which we've seen him give up P2 to Chazza in. At that very corner. I actually missed it live as I was reading the bloody chat, but got to see it anyway. You guys got to see it, and then I got to see it as I just rewinded the stream on my iPad. But Mark is certainly catching up to Val here on the mini-map, as Val is giving it everything through these corners. Now through the last, I could see that happen from a mile away there. He was never going to take that much speed with that line and keep it on the track. What time is Nemesis going to set? Mark is almost certainly going to be very much quicker than him because he is right up his behind. And Nemesis sets a 1:34.2, and there you go, Mark sets a 1:29.6 as he goes down the inside, does Mark, I think. I hear his car. Where is Mark? He's tucked up right behind Nemesis. But Nemesis can certainly improve. He goes wide through that corner once more. But Chazza, only 7 thousandths off pole here. And Nemesis does really kind of need to get out the way of Mark here. Or Mark just needs... But he's already compromised Mark's lap. So Mark is just going to have to back off from Nemesis. And there you go, you can see he is doing that. As Nemesis is just a tad slow, but Mark has a car behind him, so he will have to let that car pass. That looks like that is Chazza. Indeed it is. And he's only 7 thousandths off pole position. So he is looking very good here in the wet, but he's 7/10 off his best lap already. So I don't think there is much hope for Chazza on this particular lap, but who knows, on the next lap he might just be able to improve. And what time does Nemesis set here? Does he improve? No, he doesn't. He's still sitting on a 1:34.2. So I don't know if he's had a couple of shots of some alcohol in between the races. But this is shocking by the championship winner. As you can see, Chaz is just able to carry so much more speed through the corners, but also goes deep here, as Nemesis is just compromising his lap. And there you go, Chaz is already a second down on his best time, so it doesn't look like he will be improving, but Mark behind could very well improve, as he has some clean air on these two, behind these two, as he backed off on the previous lap. Let's see how Mark is doing. He's also 1.7 seconds off. It looks like the track has just got significantly worse. Track conditions are just getting harder and harder. It doesn't look like anyone will really improve here, as JFD is already in the pits. But what lap time can they set? Can they improve at all? Nemesis does to 1:32.6, but Chazza and Mark both don't improve. But it is Mark who is going to take pole position, unless Galactic Skull can do something about it. No, he cannot. And it is Mark who takes pole position ahead of Chazza, just 7 thousandths of a second there between Mark and Chazza, but Galactic Skull is in third place, and who knows, if it is dry, he could be a very quick and very good contender in this race, but he lost all of his time in the first sector, as we just seen there, so he could be very quick yet in this race. We have JFD in 4th, and Nemesis starting 5th, and Murcielago starting 6th, but we have sea conditions for this race. Looks very, very weird. So we are underway and lights out and away. Mark does not go, and oh, fantastic, it is not hazy, it is foggy, and I can't see a Scooby bloody do. Oh, and there's some contact there between I think that was Nemesis and, oh, it might not have been Nemesis, I think it might have been Galactic Skull and the green car of JFD, but Shazza has got a great start and is ahead of Mark after Mark had a very poor start. I can just about manage out the shape of the cars, so that's at least something. It's not as bad as what we've had on previous tracks, but still horrific. Right, I'm just going to have to use the onboard cameras here for all of this race, as I just can't see from the offboard cameras. But JFD there runs off the track as Galactic Skull moves past and up into P3, but Nemesis is now behind. Galactic Skull, I'm going to be putting him under bucket loads of pressure, as he will certainly want a victory to cap off his championship win. But that last corner looks very, very difficult, I must say. But now Mark putting Chazza under pressure down into turn 1, and he gets a good run out of turn 1 into turn 2. He's very, very close here to Chazza. Not sure exactly what happened to Chazza. Chazza must have made a mistake towards the end of that lap, as he did have a bit of a margin over Chazza. Sorry, Chazza did have a bit of a margin to Mark. And now Chazza is really feeling the pressure here. Mark is extremely close, within dive bomb territory. Well, it wouldn't even be a dive bomb, it would just be a nice move up the outside. But Chazza defends the inside for that corner. I'm going to make Mark go around the long way to get their move done. He is not able to do so into that particular corner, but Chazza thought he was going to go wide there. But he managed to keep it on circuit. But in the meantime, behind, Nemesis has moved himself ahead of Galactic Skull, which I did miss, so apologies for that. But these are literally the worst conditions for me to commentate in. I'm supposed to be keeping it on the trackside cameras. Oh, as Mark hits the curbs a bit too much through that chicane and goes off circuit. And will that allow Nemesis to get past? No, it won't, but it'll certainly allow him to close the gap now to Mark, who just clattered the curb and went off the track and into the gravel momentarily. But doesn't look like it will cost him too much here. Of course, he has to catch up to the back of Chazza once more. Oh, as I thought Nemesis was going to go wide there. But he just about got it turned into the corner. Now through the long right-hander to finish the lap. falling ever so slightly back from Mark. Well, saying that, through those corners, he certainly looks like he gains visually, but as I'm being told at the top of my screen, the gap is still about 7/10. But Mark not making the same mistake through that corner as he did on the previous lap. Oh, his Galactic Skull has had an off at the chicane. He's lost some time, and that's rather unfortunate because it looked like he was sticking with these guys reasonably well. But that mistake has dropped him back into the clutches of Murcielago potentially. So not what you want, but we are closing up here at the front. Mark is closing in on Chazza, and Nemesis is closing in on Mark and Chazza, but dearie me, I thought it was going to be curtains there for Nemesis, as it looked like he was certain to go completely off track. He did put a wheel on the grass. Oh, and he has to turn out the final corner there. It's for fear of hitting that tie barrier on the inside. And that has lost him some time through the final corner. But now Mark is really closing in on Chazza. I think it is going to be a matter of time before we see Mark try and make a move on Chazza. Oh, he makes a slight mistake through that chicane with the high curbs, with the almost Verstopper curbs there. Of course, those sort of high race curbs have been dubbed the Verstoppers after it broke Max Verstappen's suspension after he ran over them at the Austrian Grand Prix, I think it was. Not exactly the same style, but I don't care. I'll make it work. I'll call it a Verstopper. As Mark gaining and gaining all the time through Chazza, who makes a little bit of a mistake up in front. And now through the last corner, Mark is going to look for some sort of switchback here on Chazza, as I will attempt to get a better view from an outside camera. Oh no, not from Nemesis, but Mark. Now with Chazza defending the inside line there. Chazza gets absolutely done around the outside by Mark. A fantastic move around the outside of turn 1 there by Mark, and that move has moved himself up into P1 ahead of Chazza. But Chazza certainly won't go down without a fight, and he'll be looking to try and get past and put Mark under pressure. We've seen he has a mistake in him. He made a mistake through that chicane earlier on in the race, but Chazza defended the inside and Mark just went clean around the outside of him there. Chazza just not able to take the pace, and is not as confident to take the pace through these corners. We can see in the last and middle sector. But it looks like he is not going to be able to challenge Mark at the moment. A bit too far back, especially into turn 1. But Nemesis is just about a second adrift from Chazza. Doesn't look like he is giving it everything, and it doesn't look like he has the outright pace of Mark here today. But he's still very quick nonetheless. That is why he is your champion, and now 5-time champion in the Nemesis Online Racing League Championship Series. So an incredible effort to win so many titles over such a long period of time by the Italian, dating back from 2010 on F1 2010. But Chazza is certainly sticking with Mark. Lost a couple of tenths on that lap to him, but he is still there. If Mark makes a mistake, he is there, ready to pounce. Much like Daniel Ricciardo in 2014 with the Mercedes. If they made any mistakes or had any mishaps, he was there, ready to pounce. And that is like what Chazza is doing at the moment. He is there, waiting like a honey badger to take that mistake and run with it. But Chazza really is staying with Mark here and almost gaining through some of those corners. Is Chazza starting to re-find his pace as he is closing in ever so slightly to Mark, and certainly on this lap he's closed the gap to Mark. I'm sure we are in for a grandstand finish between these two drivers. There we go, on that lap he gained 0.3 of a second on Mark. Chazza looking to have some tremendous pace towards the end of this lap. Towards the end of this race, I should say. But Mark is no slouch, that is for sure. Oh, and there we go. A slight mistake from Mark, running wide. But he'd already pulled away from Chazza slightly in the first sector by 1/10 and a bit. So now Chazza is half a second behind Mark. But a slight mistake from Mark. It is there. He can make a mistake. And that will give Chazza all the motivation in the world that he needs to close the gap to Mark and try and make the move, as we probably have another lap left after the next lap. We have 2.5 minutes remaining in this session, but Chazza is certainly right there with Mark. Indeed, this will be the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. Chazza using all of the available curbing there to absolutely chuck it through the chicane. He is giving it everything here to try and get past Mark. Giving it absolutely everything on the exit of the corners. And this is certainly the closest we've seen these two drivers since Mark made the move around the outside of Chazza. Now into this sort of hairpin corner. Chazza gaining and gaining on Mark absolutely everywhere. Nails the apex of that corner. Takes more speed than Mark through that corner. He is gaining on Mark everywhere, and now through the last corner, can he potentially set up a move down into turn 1? He's going to get the slipstream here in a minute. And now he is in the slipstream of Mark. He is right behind and could potentially make a move into turn 1. Is he going to be able to quite be there? Is he quite close enough? No, he's just a bit too far back there, as I've done with David Croft. But now on the final lap of the race, Chazza just needs to keep putting the pressure on Mark and keep gaining and gaining on him. And I'm sure that is his ambition, as he is giving it everything through that chicane, and Mark is just being ever so cautious. And now it's very important to get a good run coming out the exit of this corner, down onto the long straight into the hairpin corner at the end. And indeed, Chazza has got a solid run out there, but Mark also looks like he's got a very decent run indeed. Chazza is right there with Mark. As it feels like I've said that line about 1,000 times. But now, with only a couple of corners remaining, oh, and Mark runs wide through that corner, and now Chazza is right there. He's going to try and make a move in the final corner. He has the inside line, but it just looks like Mark will manage to hold on. But now on the slipstream with the drag race down to the line, will Chazza be able to get the slipstream and get past Mark? No, will he? No, it doesn't look like he'll be able to. Chazza finishes just about a tenth of a second behind Mark in that race. What a fantastic finish to that race. But it is Mark. Oh no, what's happening here? It says that Chazza is ahead of Mark, but on track Mark finished ahead of Chazza. So I believe it is Mark who takes race victory here, takes the clean sweep at this racetrack, finishing just ahead of Chazza. What a fantastic finish to that race we've seen. Chazza was very quick towards the end of that race, in third place, and our champion, Nemesis Racing, the most consistent driver all season, and certainly one of the quickest. He went on a streak of winning 5 races in a row, and that streak certainly didn't hurt him from winning this championship. We have Galactic Skull in P4, Murcielago in P5, and JFD in P6. And Galactic Skull just saying in the chat, got distracted by someone coming in my room. Oh dear, that is certainly not what you want. I know, it seems every time that my mum comes into my room, I always concede a goal if I'm playing FIFA. So that's no good, mate. Unfortunate, because you certainly had the pace to challenge the top guys, as we've seen towards the end of race 1. But you just certainly weren't able to capitalise on that good pace that you had. But that will be it from me this morning, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you once again for producing some great racing here in Japan for round number 11 of the championship here. And we just have one more race to go this time next week at Zolba, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. I know it's evening, Galactic Skull, but currently it is 8:22 in the morning for me. All right, we know it's about, well, what is it? It's 9:22 for you. All right, we know it's night time. But once again, that'll be that. I've had enough of that. That'll be me for tonight, guys. I'll catch yous all this time next week. Hope you have a great day, and goodbye.